Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Joining me now is Congressman Tim Burchett. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
This weekend, a really horrifying event unfolded in Pennsylvania. Former President Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt. This is the first assassination attempt since 1981. How did this happen?
A complete lapse, apparently, in security. It's just unthinkable that somebody could be within 115 yards of the president or the former or future president, have a clear line of shot, 115 yards, and nobody stopped him prior to him shooting. The president's head had been turned 1 inch one way. We'd be having a different conversation today. I think the Secret Service need to clean house. This DEI situation that Biden has put into place, and the leader of Secret Service wanting, saying 30% women. Well, I don't care if you're a purple unicorn. Just put the best players in. It should not be a DEI situation. It should be just the best performing human available in that position.
It's an event that really shook Americans regardless of party. Since the shooter was outside of the perimeter of the event, does this fall on local law enforcement? Is this a massive failure of the Secret Service? I mean, what questions do you have?
Well, my questions are with Secret Service. If they have a line of sight, they're supposed to, they would surely call that out. When I was mayor of Knox County, Obama came in and to Pellissippi State, and I was they had a trouble with the line of sight area that somebody could take a clean shot at him. And so we brought in 21 dump trucks so that he could literally get out of his limo and walk and, be shielded by them from a sniper. And I can remember George Bush Sr. coming to McGee-Tyson Airport and people on ridges, snipers. I can remember Vice President coming to Knoxville for Senator Blackburn, snipers on the buildings. To me, they just missed, and they've got a real problem there. There was a disconnect. There's a disconnect with getting him off the stage. You had an agent, the iconic picture of him throwing his fist up in there. That should have never even been able. You should not even been able to see him at that point. There should have been bodies between him and the crowd. If there had been two shooters, it would have been a horrific situation, I fear.
You mentioned that you have some questions for the director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle. She's been invited to testify before the House Oversight Committee, a committee you sit on. So if she does come testify at that hearing, what are those questions you have for her?
Yeah, I would like to know what was their line of thought in allowing someone to put a ladder up on a building and carry a high-powered rifle in just literally off the street and no one stopping him. Why was that building not checked out? Why was it not blocked off? Why were there not officers in that area? Why were the officers in that area apparently not connected to what was going up on stage? When they spotted that guy on the building, they should have had somebody should have been on the radio saying, "Get the president off the stage." Why was there a hesitation in the sniper who was taking out the bad guy? Did he have to get clearance from a higher up before he could pull the trigger, or do you have to wait till a shot was fired? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and it just showed some real incompetence at the top levels, because that somebody has to be responsible. But this administration is never taken responsibility for anything. It's a pass the buck situation, and we don't need that. We need answers, and I'm afraid we're not going to get them from this administration.
Have you received any answers to these questions yet at all? Because it's been almost 48 hours since that shooting.
No, and that's what's really disturbing about it. With our security capabilities, alleged intelligence capabilities, I mean, we ought to know what the guy had for breakfast a month ago who pulled the trigger. We ought to know everything about him. We ought to have that in our hands. And yet the director of the Secret Service, to my knowledge, has not made a public statement even about it. So I think that That falls on the White House and her responsibilities.
Congressman, obviously a type of event like this transcends party lines, and independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. does not have Secret Service protection. He's asked for it, has been denied of it. Do you think he deserves protection in light of this event?
Absolutely. On my Twitter account at Tim Burchett, I tweeted about that today, but I've also weeks ago I did. Hunter Biden has security services, and yet a member of the Kennedy family running for president with their family's history is not being provided. I think that is a grave error, and I think that's showing where the politics is lying into this. And if politics is in just saying he's not going to get any protection, then I think we need to really delve in deep to what's going on within our Secret Service.
President Biden made an address in the Oval Office after Saturday's shooting, and he said this in part, that, quote, "The need for us to lower the temperature in our politics and to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we are fellow Americans, and we must stand together." What do you think of the president's response within the past 48 hours to the shooting?
I think they're pretty shallow, if not hollow. The president stated that we need to put Donald Trump in our crosshairs. He said that he will destroy this country. He's a threat to democracy. He needs to be taken out, along with the national media relentlessly comparing President Trump to Hitler. It creates a situation. You got to realize that this kid that tried to shoot the president, he is an American citizen. He's not a radicalized Muslim. He's not a foreigner. He's not a foreign agent. He is an American citizen, and he has been radicalized by this administration and the media.
Right now, it's really no secret that temperatures are at an all-time high. It's a deeply politicized time. What's your message to your constituents as well as Americans as a whole, regardless of party?
Well, I think God has his hand on America, but we just keep slapping it away. We have allowed so much degradation to democracy in the last few years that it's time for America to step up. We've got to have more than 15% of the population go to the polls, and they need to vote all the way down the ticket. And I think they need to trust their heart more than they do the women on The View and all the pundits. I think you ought to delve into these issues and the candidates and develop a mindset that would put you in the right place to go make the proper decision on Election Day.
Congressman, before I let you go, President Trump moments ago just announced his VP pick, and that is Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. What do you make of his selection?
It's a great choice. J.D.'s a Marine, and he hasn't been in Washington long enough to be compromised.
Congressman, per usual, I appreciate the conversation. Thank you so much for joining me.